To focus. A year ago, the Cardinals made an historic late-season run that spurred them onto their 11th World Series championship. But this season, the Cardinals need some help. Would they get it today from one of their rivals, the Cincinnati Reds? The Reds taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates today. A.J. Burnett, what a season he's having. His 14th win of the year. MVP candidate Andrew McCutchen adding a home run in the ninth inning. Pittsburgh gets the win today as they avoid the sweep. So the Cardinals can pick up some ground on Cincinnati, but they might lose some ground on Pittsburgh depending on how tonight turns out. And realistically, of course, the Cardinals look like they've got a better shot to be a wild card team than the NL Central champions. Hi, everybody. Dan Schulman along with Oral Hershiser, Terry Francona. The Cardinals are in a pretty good spot, it would seem, especially if you look back to what they accomplished late last year. The pieces are falling into place, and one thing we know, Oral, they can swing the bats with the best of them.
They sure can. This is a National League offense, but it functions like an American League offense. They are outstanding. Top to bottom, they have all-stars, and they've got power. They've got 5 guys with 15 home runs or more. But for it to all come together with that historic run, they've got to get the bullpen back together. From the 7th inning on, they've got to continue to get people out, and then they can put a string together and maybe do it again.
For more on the Cardinals, let's go down to the field now and join Buster Olney.
Dan, as you referenced, the Cardinals running third in their division, very similar to where they were a year ago. This afternoon, Matt Holliday, their left fielder, told me that he feels like the players can draw confidence from what happened last year. But recently in AT meeting, Yadier Molina tried to inject some urgency into the situation, telling the players, look, we know we're good enough. We just have to start playing better. Now, Matt Holliday is doing his part, hitting .383 since June 5th, Dan.
All right, Buster, thank you. Last year was good enough for the Milwaukee Brewers, won the division and made it to the NLCS. This year, not the case. A lot of things have gone wrong. The bullpen has not been good. They're not contenders right now. But one guy who's having almost a carbon copy of the year that he had last year is Ryan Braun.
You're right, Dan. Ryan Braun was the MVP last year. He's on pace to have a very similar year this year. He hits for power. He drives in runs. He can steal bases, and he hits for average. He's the whole package offensively.
And they're going to need him to have a good game, you would think, to avoid getting swept here in St. Louis. The Cardinals have won the first 2 games of the series by a score of 9-3 and 6-1. Marco Estrada looking for his first win of the season. Kyle Loesch has been the ace of the Cardinals staff, 11-2 on the year.
You can take your green monster, your Dodger blue, and your ghosts in the Bronx. I want history. That team under the arch has a lot of it. From greatness that was dizzying, to Hornsby and the Man, to intimidation personified by a machine. They have quite a past in St. Louis, and a baseball city that rivals all others. I'll take that every time.
The St. Louis Cardinals in the baby blues from the 1982 season when they defeated the Milwaukee Brewers in the World Series. The Brewers, of course, in the American League at that point in time, and they're commemorating that World Series championship 30 years later here this weekend. Interact with Buster only tonight. You can comment on the baby blues or anything else you'd like to with Buster at Buster_ESPN and #SNB. You can also like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/ESPN Baseball Tonight. The second-year manager of the Milwaukee Brewers is Ron Roenicke. Finished runner-up to Kirk Gibson last year for National League Manager of the Year. The Brewers winning the division and winning 96 games last year before losing to the Cardinals in the NLCS. Let's take a look at Ron Roenicke's batting order tonight, presented by Taco Bell. And this is still a dangerous offensive team, especially when a guy like Carlos Gomez is playing to his potential, which he has been doing the last couple of weeks. Ryan Braun, the reigning MVP, leading the National League in home runs this season with 29. And Ricky Weeks, after a dreadful first couple of months this year, has really gotten it going of late. And his numbers are climbing. On the mound tonight, Oral, a very quiet, kind of under the radar 11-game winner for the Cardinals, Kyle Loesch.
Kyle Loesch is having an outstanding year right now. You see the walks per 9 innings, second and lowest in the National League. Not only is he pound the strike zone, though, because since his 2010 surgery in his forearm, he has outstanding stuff, late and sharp.
Ready for baseball here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. The Brewers and Cardinals, with the Cardinals looking to sweep the series. And a strike taken by Norichika Aoki, the leadoff hitter and right fielder for the Brewers. His first year playing in the majors after 8 years in Japan playing professionally. Aoki has good speed. He can bunt, although obviously he won't now that it's an 0-2 count. He can really handle the bat in a number of different ways. A .329 career hitter in Japan, a .282 hitter as a rookie with Milwaukee. It has cooled off a little bit here as the sun begins to set. Most of the fans are in shade right now as we move into evening here in St. Louis, and Loesch misses high. Now, when they have these commemorative uniforms, guys, do you get to keep those? I mean, is Kyle Loesch taking that jersey home with him tonight?
I think for the most part they give them to charities, don't they, Oral?
Yep, nowadays they do.
There's a ball smacked to right field, but right at Beltran. One down. Gives us a good opportunity to check out the Cardinals defense tonight, including John Jay getting a start in center field, flanked by Holiday in left and Beltran in right. Descalso getting the start at short tonight. Rafael Furcalo for his last 13 and getting the night off. And of course, Yadier Molina behind the plate. What a series in every respect Molina has had. Swinging the bat, throwing out runners, stealing bases. A 4-time Gold Glover and a 4-time All-Star. Here's Carlos Gomez. And a swing and a miss by the Brewer center fielder, who last week was named co-player of the week in the National League. This has been a guy for so many years. The tools are there, but would the consistency, the maturity be there? And Tito, in spite of these first two swings right here, it looks like and Brewer fans don't want to get too carried away, but it looks like he might have turned a corner recently. And
not only Brewer fans, but I think the Brewer coaching staff, manager, and front office, they're all holding their breath a little bit. And it's not work ethic. It's not being lazy. It's just it hasn't all quite come together on a consistent basis. But when he plays like he has the last couple of weeks, it's exciting.
Takes in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ryan Braun waiting on deck for the Brewers, the National League leader in home runs, 3rd in RBIs, putting up very similar numbers, in fact more homers, than he had at this point last year when he won the MVP. But with the Brewers not in it right now, probably some more likely MVP candidates than Braun right now, including one, maybe two Cardinals. I mean, the way Matt Holliday is swinging the bat right now, he's definitely played himself into that conversation. And Carlos Beltran's having a terrific season as well.
They're 1-2 on the Cardinals with RBIs and home runs.
I am liking the baby blues. Here's the 2-2, and Gomez fouls it back.
And they're 1-2 in the NL on home runs and RBIs also, not just the Cardinals.
You see those uniforms out there, and it's so easy to picture Jack Clark, Tommy Herr, Willie McGee, Vince Coleman.
You know, you're talking about the uniforms. Do they get to keep them? I think they give them 2 sets, and I think one goes to charity, and the players might get to keep one.
Again, the 2-2. And that's a fair ball. Holliday in to play it. Gomez digging for second. And in there with a double.
Little change up right there that Kyle Loesch leaves up, and Gomez does a great job getting on top of that ball. A lot of times you'll see hitters headed back to the bench making an out on that with a pop-up and shaking their head like they didn't really get on top of it. They overswung, but he did a great job getting to the top of that baseball, even though it was a high pitch.
So a man in scoring position with 1 out for the Brewers here in the top of the first, and here's Braun. Hitting .314 with 29 home runs. You got to respect the speed of Gomez out at second as Braun takes a strike. Gomez with 20 stolen bases. He's been caught 5 times. And if you're ever going to steal third with 1 out and a right-handed batter at the plate, is the ideal time to do it. Let's check out the numbers for Gomez. Skip Schumacher's doing a lot of work out there at second base, trying to keep Gomez as close to second as he can.
If Schumacher does an adequate job and Kyle Loesch does an adequate job, Yadier Molina will gun him down at third. He is outstanding. The arm, the release, the consistency back there. So it's very hard to steal bases off the St. Louis Cardinals because of Yadier. The pitching staff and the infielders are just need to do an average job holding runners.
Popped out of play, 1-2 on Braun. Molina is leading the majors with a 42% caught stealing percentage this year, and they don't run on him very much. I mean, the guy plays 6 days a week, Tito, and they've only tried to steal 43 bases on him all season.
There's a nice combination. First of all, as Oro was saying, his arm is he's got tremendous accuracy with above average arm strength, but their pitching staff also does a very good job of not letting guys run on them.
Gomez is getting himself a pretty aggressive lead considering how close to the bag Schumacher is. As Braun lays off, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And what's difficult here, and this is where speed comes into play, Schumacher has to pay attention to Gomez, because if he doesn't, he's going to steal third. But Ryan Braun has the ability to hit the ball to right field also. It just makes him more dangerous. That's what speed does to the game.
See a pretty good hole on the right side. And now a play on it second, and Gomez back in safely. That coming from the dugout?
It can, but Yadier Molina could have done it. I mean, obviously it was a play and it wasn't impromptu because the way Schumacher went back and came in.
1 on, 1 out. We're just underway here at Busch Stadium. The Cardinals and the Brewers. And Braun chases a slider down and away and is gone. 2 down.
Well, that's a huge strikeout. Not because there's a man on second. You just need an out. But to strike out Ryan Braun, as hot as he's been this year, the fastball he goes with, he comes back with it and shows him the inside part of the plate. Now he's really working the ball in, and now
He thinks he's got him looking in, so he's going to keep him away, and he decides to go there twice. He didn't really alternate the pitches. He said, I'm going to start you in the middle. Then I went in twice and then away twice and got him to chase.
So 2 down, and here's Aramis Ramirez, the third baseman. First pitch swinging, liner to third, caught by Freese, and the inning is over. To the bottom of the first, no score. We'll see one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball, Matt Holliday, coming up third for St. Louis. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. And in part by Corona Light, a refreshing change of beer. And Nexus 7, the new tablet from Google, from $199. The St. Louis Zoo getting a little play during our billboard shots. Bring you back into baseball here at the Busch Stadium as we go to the bottom of the first. The Cardinals coming up in a scoreless game. Let's take a look at the St. Louis lineup tonight, presented by Taco Bell. This is the highest scoring team in the National League. And Matt Holliday is one of the big reasons why. Over 400 the last 6 months. Carlos Beltran is right there with him. In fact, has one more RBI than Holliday does to lead the National League. And Yadier Molina having a great year and a great series. Getting hits, stealing bases, scoring runs, you name it. He has been doing it for the Cardinals this weekend. Looking for his first win of the season, Mr. Hershiser, is Marco Estrada.
At 28 years old, the Milwaukee Brewers might be out of it this year, but this is a huge start for this young man, and the rest of the season auditioning for this rotation. Has pitched and started and relieved. And he is a strike thrower with a changeup that is coming.
Outside ball one to Skip Schumacher, playing second base tonight. Versatile guy, can also play the outfield, but they've got more of a need for him this year at second. You can see he's been hot in recent weeks. And he remains hot. Leadoff base hit for Schumacher. Defensively for the Milwaukee Brewers, Carlos Gomez with that great speed, he can really go get him in the outfield. On the infield is Corey Hart, who has become the everyday first baseman out of necessity. More on that later. The Brewers said they'd like him to remain a first baseman into next year. Give up that outfielder's glove. Jonathan Lucroy is the catcher. Lucroy missing a couple of months earlier this year with a broken bone in his hand. He's got the nail polish on his right hand to give Estrada a better shot at seeing the signs as he flashes the pitches. Schumacher driven back by a throw. With Alan Craig coming up. Coming off knee surgery. Also had a hamstring injury earlier this year. He has settled nicely into the 2 spot. And he's got some serious power. And this is something going back over the years. You probably saw this, Terry, when you managed against him. Tony La Russa liked it. It looks like Mike Matheny does too. A guy hitting second who can really hurt you. Not your typical hit the ball the other way, get a bunt down guy.
It's exactly right. And I think this came directly from Tony La Russa. And you don't have the guy that can necessarily handle the bat and execute a hit and run, but you also have an RBI productive bat, and he's going to come to the plate probably one more time during the game. It's a great idea.
And make no mistake, this guy can hit. Remember last October, 4 home runs in the playoffs for the St. Louis Cardinals. All they need to do with Craig is keep him healthy. And he has benefited in a sense from injuries to others, including Lance Berkman, who's gone back on the DL. But even if everybody had been healthy, Craig has forced his way into becoming an everyday player with the way he swings the bat.
And the two-hole theory also relates back to the fastball, that with a man on first and usually a fast runner, that you're going to get more fastball. So you want a fastball hitter that has great power with that putting a bopper in the two-hole.
And of course, it never hurts when you got another bopper in the 3-hole and another bopper in the 4-hole, and and then the guy hitting 5th won NLCS and World Series MVP, and the guy hitting 6th is the best catcher in baseball, and on it goes for the Cardinals. Amazingly enough, though, at times they've been inconsistent offensively. They've outscored the opposition by over 100 runs this year, but they're only, in quotations, only 9 games over 500. They've had a habit at times of scoring 2 and then scoring 13, not being all that consistent offensively.
And to add to that, they've had a really tough time bridging the gap till their 8th and 9th inning bullpen guys. Yeah. That's been a big problem for them.
Yeah, 7th inning was a real problem. They went out and made a deal, brought in Edward Mojica, who they hope will solidify that spot. They've got all the pieces, just like they did last year. Strike 3 called, and Craig is called out on strikes.
Left fielder Matt Holliday.
Big cheer, lots of jerseys for one of the hottest hitters in baseball. Holliday, 2nd in the National League in RBIs. He is 6th in home runs. He is 8th in batting average. And in recent weeks, he has been number 1 in many categories. Just absolutely crushing the ball game after game. Schumacher at first with 1 out here in the bottom of the 1st inning. And a strike taken, says Mike Everett, the home plate umpire. Laz Diaz at first, Mike Estabrook at 2nd, and Tim Welke, the crew chief, is at 3rd. Holliday didn't particularly like that first strike call. Estrada, born in Mexico, 6th round pick in 2005 out of Long Beach State by Washington, was claimed on waivers by the Brewers in 2009. Has certainly pitched well enough to get some wins this year, but has been a victim of a blown save by the Brewers on 4 separate occasions this season. That has been Milwaukee's biggest problem, their bullpen. Up and in, a ball and a strike on Holliday. Estrada's a guy with a very good control. His strikeout to walk ratio is terrific, but the feeling, Oral, is that the average fastball, if it's too good of a strike, gives up a lot of home runs.
Yeah, he's probably going to need a 3rd pitch, and they say his changeup is really coming along right now. The breaking ball is solid, and he's got a little deception in his delivery. Seems to hide it. For somebody that's throwing an average kind of straight fastball, he gets away with a lot of mistakes in the strike zone. And I don't mean that they're not strikes, but they're more in the middle of the plate.
12 starts this year and has not picked up a win. Coming off a good one against Houston on Monday. 7 innings, only 2 earned runs, but a no decision in that game. Some other starting pitchers on the shelf right now for the Brewers. Estrada getting a chance here. Swing and a miss, and he gets Holliday for out number 2.
The finishing pitch in this sequence is an exceptional breaking ball. When you're facing a hot hitter like Matt Holliday, first of all, to have the gumption to just come in there and attack him, you get a fastball for a strike, you knock him down a little bit with that second one, you keep coming at him, and the fastballs in the zone set up the breaking ball that was sweeping out of the zone.
So back-to-back strikeouts for Estrada of Craig and Holliday. Now here's Carlos Beltran. And a strike taken by Beltran, batting from the left side against the right-hander Estrada. Beltran was the bat that the Cardinals brought in to try to fill the gap with Pujols departing. Different position, obviously, but They needed another bat. They went out and got Beltran. He's been healthy, and look at the numbers that he's put up. Down to first and through the legs of Hart. Schumacher around second and on his way to third on what should have been an inning-ending ground ball.
And by all accounts, Corey Hart has made a seamless transition from right field to first base. He just simply comes up. That's his first error as a first baseman, and he just simply didn't keep his glove down. Second error.
Made his first one Friday night, and his second one here tonight. As we mentioned off the top, the Brewers have thought so highly of his play at first base. They want him to stay there next year. They lost Prince Fielder after last year. Matt Gamble got hurt. They moved Hart in from the outfield, and by and large, he has done a terrific job, at least until the last few days. The inning continues, and that's a dangerous thing if you're playing against the Cardinals. As Freese bounces one down to third, Ramirez with a long throw in time to get him and end the inning. No runs, a base hit, an error, 2 men left, no score at the end of an inning. Fans here in St. Louis scattered throughout the ballpark cheering on their team. They haven't seen a lot of good Brewer baseball the last couple of games, with St. Louis winning 9-3 and then 6-1. Scoreless here as we go to the top of the second. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. Kyle Loesch facing Corey Hart. And a strike to get the inning started. Hart, as you can see, having another productive season. 20 homers, 50 extra base hits. We talked about the defense, and we saw the error last half inning. Looking to atone for that, although all it cost his pitcher was one extra pitch. Quickly 0-2. The Brewers, like the Cardinals, lost a huge part of their lineup. In Milwaukee's case, it was Prince Fielder. And the Brewers, like the Cardinals, still scoring a lot of runs this year. And Corey Hart, one of the reasons why. Give him an infield hit. So the leadoff man aboard against right-hander Kyle Loesch. Started opening day for the Cardinals. 11-2 on the season. Of course, St. Louis never got Chris Carpenter back this year, and Adam Wainwright coming off surgery, slow going out of the gate. And Oral, they really needed somebody to be if not an ace, at least a stabilizer in that rotation, and it's been Loesch.
He's been more than a stabilizer. He's been exceptional. Those 11 wins, the bullpen has actually coughed up 4 more, so he could be having a huge year. He is a strike thrower. He's already had 2 0-2 counts in this game.
Ricky Weeks is the batter. You can see how hot he has been lately. He was as cold as anybody in baseball the first couple of months, hitting under 160 at the end of May. An all-star last year. He's coming on now. Fly ball to left field. Holiday in to make the catch, 1 down. Well, for Kyle Loesch, this is his 5th season in a Cardinal uniform. And in 2008, he had a good year, but then in 2000. He needed surgery for nerve compression in that right forearm. Bounced back healthy last year, and look at the numbers that Loesch has put up the last 2 years. In 2011 and this season, a combined 25 wins as he heads into free agency. Keep an eye on him in the offseason. If the Cardinals don't tie him up between now and then. You know, I know offense is down and people are looking for power, but Tito, you know as well as anybody, everybody's still looking for a good starting pitcher.
And when you think you have enough, go get more. Reliable pitching in the major league level is the hottest commodity out there.
Think of the Texas Rangers. They're looking for pitching still. At the beginning of the year, they had way too many starters. They were putting people in the bullpen.
Jonathan Lucroy is the batter, the Milwaukee catcher. Lucroy hitting .331 on the season. As we mentioned, missed a couple of months with a broken hand. Milwaukee in kind of unfamiliar territory for them the last couple of years anyway. They're playing spoiler right now. They're looking up at Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis in the NL Central. Could it be 2? And it is. Loesch gets the double play ball, and we'll go to the bottom of the second. No score. Welcome back to St. Louis. It is a sea of red. I don't know that there's a ballpark in America where a higher percentage of people wear their team's colors than they do right here in St. Louis. And a lot of people have gone out and gotten Molina jerseys in recent years. Acknowledged as the game's best catcher, hitting over 300, 4-time Gold Glover. Now stealing bases, too. He's a threat. He's got 11 steals this year. Another great year for Yadier Molina. First pitch swinging, fly ball to right field. And Aoki is there. One down. Molina has turned himself, Terry, from a guy who was known as having a great arm. Then he became a great handler of pitchers. Then he became a great hitter. Now he's a good base runner. He's just adding something every year, it seems.
And like you said, he's even stealing bases now. But when you talk to Mike Matheny, Mike just raves about the way he handles the staff. And as your catcher, that's the most important thing. I mean, your catcher can go 0 for 4 and you can still win, but he needs to run the game.
John Jay is the batter, the center fielder for the Cardinals, hitting .288. Another guy who spent some time on the DL, had a shoulder problem yesterday, hitting his first home run since the middle of April. Got a lot going on in that swing, a lot of moving parts, as they say.
You know, hitters are funny. They're finicky. They try so hard to find a place where they're comfortable. And you just watch him, and you wonder how he settled on that.
So you don't think somebody taught him to do this?
No, again,
it's his trigger. It's his personal trigger. Just does he get his foot down in time? Does he get the hands back in time? And loaded.
Tough to change old habits, though. Even by the time you're 16, 17 playing high school ball, it's tough to change, isn't it?
But you see guys when they come to the big leagues, he didn't have that when he first got here. That was added.
And you suspect more by him than by a hitting coach?
No, I don't.
Not necessarily.
I would say
Never
probably
know.
mutually.
Really?
It's probably a trigger to help him relax or to get in, to get in position to hit. Mark McGwire knows as much about getting in the ready position as anybody.
A 1-out walk issued to Jay here in the bottom of the second of the scoreless game. And that'll bring up the shortstop for the Cardinals, Daniel Descalso, hitting .241. Descalso plays more second than short. Rafael Furcal getting a night off tonight. Normal shortstop for the Cardinals. It's another trademark of St. Louis teams going all the way back through the Tony La Russa years. They've got versatile guys. You better assume your name's going to be on the lineup card when you walk into the clubhouse, and you just never know where it's going to be. And a guy like Descalso can be anywhere. As he fouls it back, and filled the same kind of role last year. Descalso actually appeared in more games for the Cardinals last year than any other player on the team. 148. Didn't necessarily start all of them, but gave them some good defense wherever they put him.
And in the National League, you can carve out a nice little career for yourself just by doing that. And he can handle the bat. They can definitely hit and run somewhere in this sequence.
0-2.
Another 0-2 count. The pace of this game could keep up with these strike throwers. You notice also that the hitters are swinging very early in the count because they both lineups realize that these guys love to pound the strike zone.
Fly ball driven on an 0-2 pitch, deep right field, over the head of Aoki and off the base of the wall. Jay is getting the wave. Relay coming to the plate, not in time. And the third goes to Descalso.
Well, 0-2 pitch, trying to go up the ladder. The ball ends up being a strike. Descalso does a great job getting on top of this and driving it. John Jay watching the ball, making sure, and then Jose Oquendo at third waving him, and Descalso does a great job seeing that they can't get both of us out. So if they're going home, I'm going to third. If they come to third, we get the run.
And Descalso actually credited with a triple on the play rather than a double and taking third on the throw home. So it's an RBI triple for him, and that brings the infield in here in the second inning. Now the pitcher is up, Loesch. The Brewers do not want to let another run in here. Loesch squares and pulls the bat back, and he takes ball one. And now Loesch is going to have a little talk with Jose Oquendo about what the game plan is here in this situation.
Talking about a guy who can handle the bat.
Yeah.
Both Kyle Loesch and Jose Oquendo in his prime, even throughout his whole career, could really handle the bat.
The hitting numbers are not good for Loesch, but he does have 8 sacrifices on the season, so he's gotten some bunts down, and we'll see how Mike Matheny plays it. A chopper toward third. Runner gets looked back, and Loesch is retired, 2 down. Not a lot Descalso could do there. So 2 down now, and the infield can back up as we go back to the top of the order for Skip Schumacher. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN with Terry Francona, Oral Hershiser, Buster Olney. I'm Dan Schulman. The third and final game of this series, the Cardinals taking the first 2. Every game so meaningful right now for St. Louis as they try to make up some ground on some of the teams ahead of them in their division or in the wild card race. Got a big series starting tomorrow, a 4-gamer against the Giants. Schumacher takes a strike. St. Louis still with 6 games left against the Reds, 6 against the Pirates. The Pirates defeated the Reds today to avoid a sweep. A rare loss for Cincinnati. A grounder to second. Drop, recovered, and out at first is Schumacher to end the inning. A run, though, for the Cardinals, and a 1-0 lead for the home team at the end of 2. Interesting division right now. Of course, Pittsburgh is such a great story for so many baseball fans. Pittsburgh with 19 consecutive losing seasons. It looks like they'll snap that. Do they have enough to make the postseason? They're looking up at the Reds. They're right there in the wild card race. St. Louis hoping to pick up a game on Cincinnati today, with Pittsburgh beating Cincinnati a little bit earlier. There's Cody Ransom leading it off, playing shortstop tonight for Milwaukee. How do you guys look at the top 3 teams, Cincinnati, Milwaukee, and St. Louis, the rest of the way?
Coming out of the All-Star break, Cincinnati had the best starting pitching, and I started to think that they might get on a run. I know they have now. That's not hindsight, but that's amazing how they responded to the Votto injury.
Ransom retired, one down. One big difference between the three teams. As you look at the standings with the Reds 4.5 up on Pittsburgh after taking 2 out of 3 in the series. Look at how the three teams have done in close games. As we mentioned, St. Louis can bludgeon you. But they have lost a ton of close games, 1- and 2-run games. And look at how well Cincinnati and Pittsburgh have done. What does that tell you, Terry?
Well, and it shows in the statistics that Cincinnati and Pittsburgh rank very high in the league in their bullpen ERA, and St. Louis is down near the bottom of the pack, and that directly correlates with those numbers right there.
Cincinnati and Pittsburgh with 2 outstanding bullpens. Cincinnati's only got stronger as they went out and picked up Jonathan Broxton.
Yeah, the reliever bullpen ERA in Cincinnati is 2.53.
Wow.
And with a lot of strikeouts at the tail end, too. So runners are not moving up 90 feet in those key situations when teams know they need only 1 run to tie or 1 run to go ahead.
Marco Estrada, the pitcher, up for the first time tonight. And he takes over the outside corner for strike 3 called. Are you guys all in on Pittsburgh? 107 games into the season?
All in is meaning what? Meaning how are they going to make it to the playoffs?
Are they going to make the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I think they will. I really do. Their pitching is so good. You know, who knows how deep once they get in. And as far as the Cardinals go, I think they need to set their sights on that wild card, not the division.
It's going to be hard, I think, for Pittsburgh to get in. I think that somebody might catch them. I think maybe the Cardinals sneak in. We'll see Cincinnati on top. The Cardinals sneak in. And Atlanta, maybe. Those are my 3 teams right now.
Right now, Atlanta and Pittsburgh are leading the wild card race. The Cardinals trying to chase them down. And then you look at the National League West, whoever it's going to be, Dodgers, Giants, maybe Diamondbacks, although they lost again today. One of those teams might figure into the wild card race as well.
Yeah, the Dodgers and the Giants really need to try and win their division because they're behind as far as the wild card. You think a lot of times people think, oh, the wild card's going to be easier, but sometimes the division's easier as far as the record now with so many competitors for the wild card.
Now you look at a series like the one we talked about that's beginning here tomorrow night. The Giants here for 4 games against the Cardinals. That game, that series has major implications. Aoki up for the second time, lines the ball fair over the head of a leaping Craig down the right field line, and it kind of sticks almost up against the short wall down the line, easily allowing Aoki to glide into second base with a double.
Okay, we get a good look at Aoki swing. Balls up, keeps his head on it. Watch the head. Every time we see a ball hit hard, watch the head. Right on it. And I don't think anybody's going to compare Alan Craig to Michael Jordan.
Doesn't quite have the hops?
Not quite.
Yeah. Played more outfield last year, more first base this year, especially with Berkman's injuries. So a 2-out double for Aoki, and here is Carlos Gomez, who had a double his first time up.
First time I've heard you use Michael Jordan's the whole name since you managed him in the minor leagues. When is he MJ to you?
He's a couple other things too.
Interesting year though for you, right?
It was a great learning year.
Yeah. Foul back.
I like what St. Louis is doing here. There's 2 outs. You got a guy at second base that can run, but they don't care. They're not going to defend it because if he steals third, it really doesn't matter. He's going to score on a base hit anyway. I kind of wonder sometimes why teams defense this. We see it too often, in my opinion.
I think you're so right. As a pitcher on the mound, when I was pitching, it was like I just push my infielders back, say, I got him. If he gets too big a lead, I'll step off.
But if you're Milwaukee, do you want Aoki to try to steal? If nothing else, maybe Loesch gets worried about bouncing a slider or something. Should he be on his way to third base if they're not keeping him close?
He better be safe. 100 out of 100.
Yeah. Down the left field line and hooking foul.
And the idea behind not defending it is, first of all, your second baseman doesn't have to give ground because he's holding him. And if the runner does go, your third baseman's vacating there also. So you turn that hitter into, instead of maybe a 250 hitter, into a 350 hitter.
And remember, Kyle Loesch has already shown the inside move. So you go ahead and let him wander off, get a big lead, and then do that inside move. Maybe he gets hung out to dry between second and third.
1-2. And Gomez fights it off out of play. If Gomez can reach somehow, Ryan Braun will come up. Struck out his first time up. National League leader in home runs with 29. Milwaukee going home to start a series with the division leading Cincinnati Reds tomorrow. Just a quick 3-game homestand for the Brewers. After the success they've had in recent years, the money they've spent, the new ballpark, boy, they've been packing them in the last few years up in Milwaukee. Not a big market, but a big fan base for that team. Well, that's a well-located pitch by Loesch. You can see how Molina was setting up, and Gomez did well to get a piece of it.
We had a chance to talk to Mike Matheny before the game, and he talked about how Kyle Loesch, not only great command, but how he has learned to expand the strike zone once he gets ahead. And you see how K-zone has that right on the edge. So his sights are to hit the corner or to be slightly off the edge right there, and he hit his spot perfectly.
Back with the slider on the appeal. He didn't go, says Laz Diaz. 2 balls, 2 strikes, the count.
What a great check swing and what a great pitch. Think about the last fastball away, and Gomez has to read this pitch as, is this the fastball that's going to be on the corner, or is this going to be the breaking ball? And just at the last moment he decides, oh, that's the breaking ball, and he just strong enough to hold up.
Full count. Loesch, 33 years of age. The Cardinals are his 4th team. He's been a Twin, a Red, a Philly, and a Cardinal the last 5 years. As we mentioned, a free agent at the end of the season. And one thing that you like, I know you love it, Oral, he keeps his pitch count down. Because he throws a lot of strikes, he pitches to contact. Among all National League starting pitchers with enough innings to qualify, only R.A. Dickey throws fewer pitches per inning than Kyle Loesch.
And can you believe it's R.A. Dickey as a knuckleballer throwing fewer pitches and throwing more strikes? I'll tell you what, he's outstanding, and especially appreciated here in St. Louis in the summer when the heat gets cranking. The fielders love to get in out of that heat, that he keeps throwing strikes. They don't have to get back on their heels and wilt in the sun.
3-2. Inside, ball 4. First walk given up tonight by Loesch, and that'll put 2 men on for Ryan Braun. The last thing that Loesch wanted to do, a guy with a good command. And I know you've talked a lot about, base open, but this is as hot as Gomez has been. You'd still rather face him than face Ryan Braun.
Yeah, I think that they were hoping to get a called strike on the inside corner there. He just missed his spot. They had lived away, thought they were going to get him out of the way. They're going to lock him up. But here, Ryan Braun, you have 2 batters to get 1 out. And so just because only third base is open, don't expect Loesch to just automatically give in right here.
First pitch swinging and a pop-up. Craig down from first. The inning is over. Big out for Loesch. 1-0 Cardinals going to the bottom of the 3rd. Matt Holliday will bat second. this sport. Has anybody had a better night than David Freese? Local kid to tie up Game 6 of the World Series when you're a strike away from getting eliminated, and then 2 innings later to win it in extra innings with a home run and force Game 7. How do you can't top that? I mean, a night that'll go down.
It's the most memorable night I've had in baseball when I wasn't playing a game, and I'll tell you what, I'm surprised your vocal cords made it.
That was some kind of fun. Alan Craig, the batter, and he'll take a strike.
It's fun just to relive it like we just did.
Yep. There are so many things that are forgotten about that wild Game 6. Early on in the game, as I recall, not having looked into it today or anything, the first 5-6 innings, Oral, I think there were like 6 errors in the game. Like, it was a mess.
Pretty ugly
it was
game.
not a good game. And then it got better and better and crazier and crazier. Yes, sir.
In fact, didn't Freese drop a pop-up?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
You're right. Yeah. And, maybe in danger of wearing goat horns, depending on how things turned out. And then he ties it with that triple in the 9th inning. Top of the 10th, Josh Hamilton hits 2-run homer.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's game over. Texas is going to win the World Series. And everybody forgets that Lance Berkman had the hit in the bottom of the 10th to tie up the game again.
2 strikes.
With 2 strikes again, 1 pitch away. And then, of course, bottom of the 11th, David Freese hitting the no-doubter to center field. Just, I mean, to have been here in the ballpark that night is something I know that we will never forget.
As a Dodger, when Ozzie Smith hit the home run office in 1985, hadn't hit one in a long, long time, and the great Jack Buck said, "Go crazy, fans, go crazy." That was kind of their Game 6 last year when Freese hit it.
There have been 3 instances in the history of the World Series where a team was a strike away from elimination and it went on to win the World Series. 1986 was one of them, Mets Red Sox. The other 2 were in the same game last year. You're talking about over 100 years of baseball. It's only happened 3 times, and 2 of them were in the very same game. NLCS MVP, World Series MVP, healthier this year than he's been in his careers. Still in his, just coming into his prime, you would think, and hit what, 458 in July, and just kind of lurking in the weeds there, Terry, is the number 5 hitter on this team, with the likes of Holiday and Beltran putting up such big numbers. Ground ball to short, and Craig retired, 1 down.
Yeah, the thing about David Freese, too, is he's really found a role model in Matt Holliday as Holliday comes to the plate. Saw some footage earlier of Holliday and him working on their swings in between innings and going over some body language. But David Freese absolutely loves Matt's work ethic, the way they work out together. And they were going over it bat after bat. It works out with him in the offseason, works out with him during the year, stays on him. And David attributes a lot to Matt's leadership.
As Holiday struck out his first time up. 1-0 Cardinals, bottom of the 3rd. And a lot of first pitch strikes from Marco Estrada tonight. Hit hard to center field and off the wall on the fly. It throws off line, and Holiday is into second with a double.
Well, Matt Holliday picks on a hanging breaking ball right here. Talking to Mike Matheny before the game, he said, we asked him about the hot streak of Matt Holliday. It's the 31st time in a row that he's reached base with a hit or a walk in this streak right now. And he said earlier in the year, he hits the ball harder than anybody. We'd come down and get stats on exit velocity of the ball off of his bat just to encourage him that don't worry, it's just not falling in. Keep hitting the ball hard. He hits the ball harder than most guys in all of the big leagues.
A double, and here's Beltran.
That was a laser.
And they were actually playing him perfect. Carlos Gomez was on the right field side of center field, but it was hit so hard he had no chance.
The way that Gomez looked when the ball came off the bat, it looked like he thought he might catch the ball.
He's positioned perfect.
Yeah. Look, and now he starts going back and realizes it's over his head. It's like a Terry Francona 2-iron.
I was just going to say, that's a 2-iron.
It's a little straighter than your 2-iron, huh? Holiday continues to swing a hot bat.
When hitters are able to hit the ball to the opposite field with that much authority, that makes them doubly dangerous, because now you come in and they turn on it because they have their balance, and that's when they hit the home runs.
Let's go down to Buster for more.
Guys, the Cardinals dugout made a sound when Matt Holliday hit that pitch that I haven't heard all year. About 10 guys let out the word, "Whoa!"
I was going to say, whoa, Buster, slow down.
Yeah. Big league dugout. I was worried what word he was going to say.
Look at this swing. This is great balance, great bat speed, and great strength.
That's 6'4", 225, more like a linebacker swinging a bat, and he can run.
He had a little trouble breaking there at second base, though. Went in standing up, overran the bag by a step or two. Impressing even his teammates as Beltran takes low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So you've got the size and the strength and the raw power of Matt Holliday, and then you've got the smooth fluidity of a guy like Carlos Beltran, who after all these years still makes the game, and maybe to his own detriment sometimes, Tito, makes the game look easy sometimes.
He sure does, doesn't he? He just glides in the outfield. Even though he's got those bad knees, he still, like you said, he makes it look easy.
Doesn't play with a lot of emotion.
Plays with a lot of production.
He does. ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues tomorrow and Wednesday. First tomorrow at 7 Eastern. It'll be the Yankees in Detroit to take on the Tigers. Wednesday at 8. As mentioned, the series that is beginning tomorrow. Wednesday night, you'll see the Cardinals here at home to the San Francisco Giants. Full count on Beltran. Well, he got a hanging breaking ball right there and fouled it back out of play.
That ball might have hung just enough where it didn't come into his swing. Because if that ball's down another 3 or 4 inches, that ball might be hanging around by that scoreboard. Watch how far this stays up.
You're so right. It just didn't come down in the hitting area long enough.
Liner to center field. Catch made. Throw to second. And they will double off Holiday, who thought the ball was going to drop. Inning over. 1-0 Cardinals. End of 3. And Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Scott Trade. See for yourself why so many investors are saying, I'm with Scott Trade. And Chrysler, imported from Detroit. You've been in that arch, haven't you, Tito?
I sure have when I was a little kid.
Those cars that go up, they are so cool, but they're so small and there's very little air circulation. I'll tell you what, you can get a little cramped in there.
A little claustrophobic in there? You're going to do it again?
Every 10 or 15 feet, it re-levels you.
Never.
And a liner caught by Loesch. Aramis Ramirez is retired.
I was here as a little kid when my dad was playing for St. Louis, and actually the year they went from Sportsman's Park over to the old Busch Stadium, and they had just built that arch.
Yep.
And my mom took me and a bunch of the kids up there. Geez, I was probably 7 years old.
I don't like that word, re-leveling. They re-level you?
Yeah, as you go up, you're going around the edge of the arch, and then it, maybe this will be a look, but it kind of stops and kind of keeps turning you.
Corey Hart, the batter. Wow. I'm content just to see the shots that our great camera crew is providing us rather than go experience that firsthand.
It's pretty cool at the top, but it waves back and forth. I don't know how many feet that it oscillates back and forth. If you're up there looking in the windows, you're moving.
1-2. Hart with an infield hit his first time up. Where the Cardinals had an opportunity in the bottom half of the third inning, but Matt Holliday getting doubled off at second base. Thought the shot off the bat of Beltran would get down or would get over the head of Gomez, one or the other. Gomez made the catch and threw him out at second. 2-2. Down to third and off the glove of Freese. Reaching down into his left, could not come up with it cleanly, and we'll wait for the scoring on this play as Hart is aboard again. And it is an error on Freese.
And he simply didn't look it into his glove. Just as we talk about with hitters, when they take a good swing, their head is right on the barrel of the bat. Same thing with an infielder. Their face is always, their eyes are looking into their glove.
So a runner at first, one out. Here's Ricky Weeks. Hit a fly ball to left field his first time up. You know, when Weeks started so slowly, you'll hear hitters talk about this. You can't help but see your batting average when you come up in a modern ballpark. The scoreboards are so big and so bright, and he's over 200 now, but for the better part of 3 months he was under 200. He was down in the 150s, 160s, and this is a guy with good credentials. And at some point you dig yourself such a hole that even if you get really hot the rest of the way, Tito, the overall numbers are not going to make it look like you had any kind of a good season.
You make a good point. I'm convinced in my career when they came up with that Fan-O-Vision or Diamond Vision, that's when my career started going downhill.
Because you could see your average?
You could see the numbers. But you make a good point. I mean, you have to live with it for a while. You got to be patient.
You can't get it all back at once.
You hear so many times the reference hitters trying to go 3 for 1 or 4 for 1, and it happens. They want to get it all back too fast, and they get out of their game. They don't take their walks. They swing at bad pitches, and then that just compounds the problems.
Ricky's brother Jamal playing for the Oakland A's, having a great season, although they lost today, beaten by Toronto 6-5, but Oakland right in the hunt for the American League wild card.
You know, we talk so much about Kyle Loesch. A couple things he does that's really interesting and, in my opinion, really good. First of all, he doesn't walk you.
Right.
And second of all, when you get on base, it's very hard to run.
Yep.
I mean, if you do those two things, you got to get hits to beat him. And he's a pretty good pitcher.
That's 180 feet of free bases that he doesn't let you have. Easy stolen base and the walk. It's a lot of feet.
Cardinals hoping to get a boost in their rotation pretty soon. Jaime Garcia, who's coming back from a shoulder injury, has been out a couple of months, is on rehab right now. They could have him back within a couple of weeks.
His last start, he threw 65 pitches. They think they're going up to about 85 in this next one here in about 4 days.
Mike Matheny's also got Adam Wainwright, Jake Westbrook. Lance Lynn has had a very good season. And rookie Joe Kelly's been filling in the rotation for Garcia. Very good athlete who's pitched well. They seem to be a very resilient team year after year. They deal with adversity. They deal with injuries. Jaime Garcia maybe just a couple of weeks away, as we mentioned. Quality left-hander. They just find a way to plug the holes and keep going.
Kyle Loesch is a free agent at the end of this year, and he might end up being too expensive for the Cardinals. He's got 11 wins already. Prior to the surgery, he is a 14-game winner, won 14 then again last year. In 2010 had a very rough year, in 9. The Cardinals will have some decisions on Jake Westbrook and Kyle Loesch.
And there's ball 4, so it's first and second, 1 out. Let's go down to Buster Olney with more.
Guys, Kyle Loesch is going to be in a great position in the fall because, as you know, Matt Cain has come off the board. He is signed with the Giants. Cole Hamels signed with the Phillies. Zach Greinke will be out there, but Kyle Loesch will be among the best, the second tier of pitchers. You wonder if he's going to get something 3 to 4 years in the Mark Burley type range. Remember, the left-hander signed a 4-year, $58 million deal with the Marlins during the last offseason. As you mentioned, Kyle Loesch, 33 years old.
All right, Buster, thank you. And the Cardinals have always been more about the 25 than the 1, and they were in a tough spot this past offseason with Albert Pujols, obviously, as he wound up signing with the Angels. But they'll take the money. Whoever is the one guy that they don't retain, they'll sometimes take that money and spread it among 2, 3, 4 other players. And top to bottom, they've always got a very strong roster.
Carlos Beltran signed with some of the Albert Pujols money that was signed. Yadier Molina was signed to a long-term deal. Rafael Furcal was re-signed.
And I think the strategy is sound, but I think also you have to have a place where players want to come. And St. Louis, I think, is a destination for Major League players.
Because of the tradition and the fan base and the supportiveness and all that?
The reputation of the city and the fans and how loyal they are.
And the reputation of the fans that when a player is struggling here at home, you don't get booed, you get supported. And they support their players through their slumps.
John Mozeliak, the Vice President, General Manager of the Cardinals. I know that folks sometimes on both coasts, everybody's protective of their own city and feels great about their own fan base and all that, but this is a special baseball city, and there's no denying it. And we've talked about it before. You go back 50 years, and St. Louis was a little bit more than 50 years. St. Louis was the furthest south and furthest west of any major league city. So you'd get fans from Iowa and Illinois and Arkansas and Oklahoma. They'd come from hundreds and hundreds of miles away, and the Cardinals had the biggest radio network of any team in baseball. And even though we're a couple of generations later, there are still remnants of that. There are Cardinal fans all over the place.
I can remember as a young kid being able at night to get KMOX radio outside of Pittsburgh. And I'm sure a lot of people, like you said, in Iowa or wherever.
I got it in Canada.
Well, it's one of the main reasons they had AstroTurf at the old ballpark, because they didn't want these people to come from so far and have a rain out. So the turf was there to save games. And now with the great drainage systems that we have that they can put under natural grass stadiums, that they are comfortable enough to have a natural grass here because they don't get the rainouts.
Did you ever have a chance to play here?
Oh, not this one, no, but the old one.
But no, I mean, did you ever have a chance to be a Cardinal? Was it ever something you contemplated in free agency?
I had a chance 1 year. Yeah. Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan and I had a phone conversation when I was a free agent. I ended up going to the Mets instead of here.
Tempting?
Yeah, but the offer was like half as much money, and it was about the same kind of chance to win a championship.
All right, so
ball clubs.
All right, at least we now see you for who you really are.
No.
Here's Cody Ransom.
Thanks, Dan.
I'm sorry. But I'm sure, and you guys both played with and against players who probably had great stories about what it was like to play in this city.
I think a lot of guys that play here end up living here.
You know, the odd thing about my career, there were 3 places I wanted to play other than Cleveland after I chose there. I wanted to play in San Francisco, New York, and Chicago. And I didn't tell anybody, even my agent. I knew where I was already going. And I wanted to live in those cities. They were great metropolitan areas and great world-class cities, and I just wanted. And my body ended up giving out. I wasn't able to pitch in Chicago. Played a year in San Francisco, a year with the Mets, and then my body gave out.
The ball and a strike on Ransom. 2 on, 2 out. The Cardinals up 1-0 here in the top of the 4th inning. 11-2 Kyle Loesch on the mound. Runs inside for ball 2.
Well, I guess Orioles picks for cities are better than mine were Louisville, Des Moines, and Colorado Springs.
You knew where you were going before you got there.
I had those picked out also.
I'll tell you what. A couple booths down, we've got Bob Uecker. Terry, you're grabbing his sense of humor right now.
Boy, well, he can light up a room.
Oh boy. I'll tell you what, Terry was telling us about a recent flight that maybe the flight here, and Terry wrote down every single city that baseball has taken him to. I think he wrote down every single city there is. I mean, there's a lot of names on that chart.
Approximately how many was it, Terry?
Oh my goodness. I'd have to pull it out. I mean, I started at the map. I started in Canada and went all the way into Puerto Rico and Venezuela, and every place that baseball's taken me.
Yeah.
And it took me. It was fascinating.
Yeah.
And not where I've been, but just where baseball's taken me.
Right. A 3-game series in a certain city. And
unbelievable.
We can say it's got some miles on that guy.
Fouled off at a full count. So the runners will be on the move now with 2 down and a full count. Hart from second and Weeks from first.
And this is the National League style here where you don't have to give in with the 8-hole hitter. Got Marco Estrada on deck. I mean, you'd love to have him lead off the next inning, but you do not have to give in here.
Out of play.
And that's where the 8th hitter's job is, to expand the strike zone also. So the 8th hitter will be told that, you know the pitcher's on deck. It's better for you to swing at 6 inches outside. Maybe you can get a hit or try and jam one over the shortstop with an inside pitch.
Finding a good 8-hole hitter in the National League is really a valuable commodity. I've seen a lot of young kids come up to the big leagues, hit 8th, and really flounder.
Especially like 2 outs, nobody on, you're the 8-hole hitter, and not go up there and throw the at-bat away because your pitcher then leads off the next inning. Go up there and grind it out to at least get the pitcher spot, turn the lineup over.
Again, the 3-2. And he lays off ball 4, takes the walk. The bases are loaded, and Loesch will now face Estrada.
Loesch in the mid-20s, just in this inning, 25. So they've worked him over, and he's really kind of pitched himself into this.
And Milwaukee may not score this inning, but they've set up at least next inning where they have, the leadoff Aoki hitting first. I mean, they don't have to have the pitcher leading off, and they're 1 out into the inning.
Loesch has only walked 24 in 22 starts coming into tonight. And he's walked 3 already in this game in the first 3 2/3.
It's a rarity. This guy, 14.6 pitches per inning. So we saw those pitch counts per inning. He usually is pounding the strike zone and very efficient.
Ball and a strike on Estrada, who was caught looking his first time up.
And the outfield swung around a little bit for Estrada, but I actually thought they'd be over farther and in to try to take away the flare to right.
Pitcher can't argue the strike call because he wants that same strike call when he's on the mound. he's kind of passively arguing it with his expression and stepping out of the box. No batting gloves for Estrada as he digs back in and takes high.
Well, if they're going to throw a breaking ball, it's going to be right here. I don't think he's going to see one. 3-2, bases loaded, 2 out to the pitcher. So the last 2 pitches fastballs. If you got confidence to throw a breaking ball for a strike, you do it right here. Staying with the cheese.
He doesn't want to go 3-2.
No.
The air complicated things for Loesch this inning. David Freese booting a ground ball. Bases are loaded without the benefit of a hit for the Brewers this inning. 31st pitch of the inning. Popped up back of the plate and out of play. And the wear and tear continues for Kyle Loesch. Takes some time, exhales deeply, back up on the mound. Pretty good at bat for Estrada.
He's doing a good job falling off some pitches, but Kyle Loesch is kind of building this inning himself, and you see him kind of glancing around the ballpark, kind of lost really. Normally his pace is to get right back on the rubber, throw a strike, right back on the rubber, just keep it pounded in there. So there's something mechanically probably bothering him right now that he doesn't have a lot of confidence that he can continually execute strikes.
There's the breaking ball, and the inning is over. No runs, no hits. The bases left loaded. David Freese will lead it off for the Cardinals when we come back. Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Going to the bottom of the 4th. Beautiful night, beautiful shot. Cardinals leading the Brewers 1-0. Between innings, Buster Olney with Milwaukee manager Ron Renneke.
Ron Renneke, in spring training, I must have talked to a half dozen pitchers who were telling me Ryan Braun was going to have a difficult time this year without Prince Fielder batting behind him. Clearly that hasn't happened. 29 homers, came into the game with a .314 batting average. Why didn't it happen that way?
Well, he's a pretty selective hitter. He has tremendous power to all fields, and he's able to adjust really well to the pitchers. I think Aramis hitting behind him had a nice year. I think that definitely helps. It's hard to replace Prince, but he's done a great job with it.
Marco Estrada, 1 run in 3 innings tonight. This is start number 13 for him as you guys look for guys for your rotation for next year. How has he helped himself?
He's got good command. He keeps us in ball games. Almost all the ball games we've had, he keeps us in. Sometimes late, he'll give up some runs, but early on, he's got a little deception, and with a good command, we're usually in the ball game.
Ron, thanks.
Marco Estrada on the mound for Milwaukee. David Freese leading off the inning for the Cardinals. It's a sharp one-hopper out to Ricky Weeks for out number 1. Freese now 0 for 2. Well, Milwaukee, of course, with them not contending this year, that led to the trade of Zach Greinke. They've got Giovanni Gallardo, terrific pitcher in the rotation. Mike Fiers has done an outstanding job as a rookie, an ERA under 2 through 11 starts. Marco Estrada, Randy Wolf, Mark Rogers also getting an opportunity. There are injuries in this Milwaukee rotation right now. Sean Markham's been out a couple of months with a bad elbow. Chris Narveson out for the season with a shoulder problem.
Sean Markham threw a simulated game today out here at the stadium before batting practice.
Markham and Wolf are both free agents at the end of the year. Just like the Cardinals are dealing with Loesch and Westbrook, Milwaukee's got a similar situation. Yadier Molina wearing the baby blues, the throwback road jerseys of the St. Louis Cardinals from 1982, the year they defeated the American League champion Milwaukee Brewers in the World Series. The Brewers in the AL back then, a 7-game series. Darryl Porter, the MVP, Ozzie Smith, a big part of that Cardinal team. It was the power of the Brewers against the speed of the Cardinals, and man, could those Cardinal teams of the 80s run the bases. As we mentioned, Darryl Porter was the MVP, where they had Ozzie Smith and Vince Coleman and Tommy Herr, and on and on and on it went. They stole, I think, over 200 bases that year.
That team changed the game. I mean, they called it Whitey Ball and all this, but they changed the way a lot of teams played the game.
And he's not diving for a ball. He's doing the flip as he takes his position in the first inning there. That's why Ozzie Smith is in that position.
I love the baby blues.
What about the Sox? I love the Sox. You don't love the Sox?
You know, and not with the high top shoes.
RG3 would like the Sox. Talk about Yadier Molina. Mike Matheny talking about how old school that Yadier Molina plays. And so playing in the baby blues is a very good tip of the hat for Yadier Molina to the old school guys, as hard as he plays.
Sharply hit ground ball to short. And Molina is retired, 2 down. Flashback to 30 years ago. Whitey Herzog was the manager of the Cardinals in 1982. When they won the World Series, the incomparable Bruce Sutter getting Gorman Thomas for the last out of the World Series as the Cardinals beat the Brewers in 7 games. They called it the Sud Series. Bush defeating Miller. And Bruce Sutter wore number 42, so that number retired for both him and Jackie Robinson.
Bruce Sutter's split finger just used to disappear. You didn't hit off him, did you?
First major league home run.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Was it a split?
I didn't know who he was. Then I found out who he was, and he struck me out.
Ground ball back to the mound. Jay retired, and the inning is over. We're at the end of 4 in St. Louis. The Cardinals lead the Brewers 1-0. Back to Busch Stadium here in St. Louis. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN with the Cardinals doing well on the field, doing well in the Cardinal team shop as well. Top 5, 1-0. Want to clean up something as Norichika Aoki leads it off for the Brewers. We were talking about those Cardinal teams of the 80s and the great speed they had. Lonnie Smith was the big speedster in '82. As Aoki lines the ball to center, caught by Jay, one down. Smith stole 68 bases that year, and he had help. Tommy Hurt 25, Ozzie Smith 25, Willie McGee 24, Keith Hernandez 19. On and on it went. Vince Coleman didn't come up till 85.
Keith Hernandez had 19 stolen bases?
He got caught 11 times.
It was the back end of double steals. Sorry, Keith.
How about this for Vince Coleman? He came up in 85. First year as a rookie. 110.
Yeah.
Second year.
What?
107.
107.
Wow. Third year, 109.
Golly. When do you have a down year?
He slumped to 81 in his fourth year. Gomez retired 2 down. He led the league in steals each of his first 6 years, stealing at least 65 bases in all 6 of those seasons. What would you do when he got on base against you?
You try and go fast at the plate, but you just might as well throw the ball to third when he's stealing second just to cut him off. It's unbelievable. He just outrun the ball.
He and Willie McGee, when they were hitting first and second.
Well, Tommy Hurt was behind him, and Jack Clark was fourth.
Yeah.
And as a first baseman, you could hear him coming down the line. It was almost intimidating.
There was something about Tommy Hurt having over 100 RBIs and hitting less than 10 home runs or something.
I think he had 8 homers and 110 RBIs.
They had Jack Clark in that lineup that year, and he was the only guy that had power.
Andy Van Slyke and maybe David Green were behind Clark at times. Ken Oberfeld played in those teams, I think, in the 80s.
Over the outside corner, 0-2 on Ryan Braun. The Brewers, by contrast, they were Harvey's wallbangers. They had a ton of power. Gorman Thomas, Ben Ogilvy, Cecil Cooper, Robin Yount, Ted Simmons, Paul Molitor. I mean, just hitter after hitter after hitter. Future Hall of Famers, of course, Paul Molitor and Robin Yount. Strike 3 call. Braun does not agree. A quick inning for a guy who needed it, and Kyle Loesch. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN to the bottom of the 5th. The Cardinals looking for a sweep and leading Milwaukee 1-0. Daniel Descalso will lead it off at an RBI triple in the second.
Strike one.
Accounting for the only run in the game. Big swing and a miss, 0-2. Dave Descalso played his college baseball at UC Davis. Batting in the 8th spot, pitcher Kyle Loesch is out in the on-deck circle. Each team with 3 hits, each team with 1 error. The Cardinals have the only run of the game. Got a piece. And here's how they got the only run of the game. Descalso ripping a ball to deep right field over the head of Aoki, off the wall on the fly. John Jay in to score. Descalso taking 3rd on the play, credited with a triple. 1-0 St. Louis, and here we stand in the 5th. Changeup bounced in. Breaking ball bounced into right field for a base hit. Bayer Advanced Aspirin wants viewers to join Justin Verlander and take the Fast Relief Challenge. Go to fastreliefchallenge.com for more details. Bayer, the official pain reliever of Major League Baseball. 1-0 St. Louis, bottom 5. Descalso aboard with a leadoff single. Loesch is up in a bunting situation, and that's the way the Brewers are playing it. Ramirez way in on the grass at 3rd. He squares, pulls the bat back, and he takes ball 1.
And the one thing you could watch out for here, because Loesch does handle the bat a little bit, is pulling the bat back, putting the runner in motion, and taking one shot and go for a big inning.
Mike Matheny, the Cardinal manager, relaying the signs from the first base dugout. Ball 2. Mike Matheny, first-year manager, the youngest active manager in baseball. Spent a lot of his big league career with the Cardinals. Terrific defensive catcher. Outfielders in with the pitcher up as well as Loesch pulls the bat back again. And it is 3 balls and no strikes. They're trying to give him an out, and Estrada, who's got very good control, can't throw strikes.
It's amazing how sometimes like this, when they know the guy is bunting, that it's so hard to throw a strike compared to when you're just trying to get him out. You know, they're swinging the bat. It just gets between your ears.
3-1. Pulling the bat back all the way on the 3-0. Let's see how they play it on the 3-1.
If we're going to do what Tito talked about, this is the place to do it. 3-1 count. You can start the runner, pull the bat back, and try and slap a ground ball somewhere. You know you're getting a fastball.
Pushed hard toward first. Hard thought about it, but then takes the out at first base. Sacrifice moves Descalso to second.
You know, for a guy that's transitioning to first base and right field, Corey Hart's moving around pretty well over there. He came in, pounced on that ball, gave the proper look to second, and then made the proper play by going to first.
And I think next year, if he's still there, he makes the throw to second because he'll have confidence because everything is right to that point. And he had a shot at second base. And what he'll learn, too, is you can go to second there, and the shortstop will actually play it into a one-out play at first and get the pitcher and come off the bag early, or he'll stay there and get the lead runner.
3-4 on the putout. A runner at second, 1 down. Back to the top of the order for second baseman Skip Schumacher. Ground ball to third. 2 down. Descalso has to hold his ground at second base. That's some funny sound coming off the bat of Schumacher there. So it'll be up to Alan Craig to try to bring in another run in front of a big crowd here in St. Louis. Cardinals looking for a clutch hit, and Alan Craig has been delivering clutch hits this season, leading the National League in a batting average with runners in scoring position. Descalso, decent speed out at second, 2 down in the inning. Ripped foul off the screen in front of the Brewers' third base dugout.
It says a lot about Alan Craig leading the National League with runners in scoring position, because a young fella out there trying to produce, make a name for himself in his big league career, and not really coming out of his game plan in these key situations when there's a chance to drive in some big RBIs. It's not like he has a resume they can relax and say, okay, I know how to do this. He's building a resume.
Line to center. Gomez there, and the inning is over. 5 in the books at Busch, 1-0 Cardinals. About all of the MVP candidates in the National League do play in the National League Central. And right now you have to think that Andrew McCutchen, if you were to take an unofficial vote today, would probably be the front runner. As Aramis Ramirez skies a fly ball to right field, 1 down. Let's check out some news and notes from around the National League. The Reds have been hot in spite of the loss today to the Pirates. Still 19-4 since the All-Star break. Jose Reyes has extended his hitting streak to 24 games. 6 more innings and another win for Steven Strasburg, now at 127 1/3. The topic that will never end, the countdown or count up that will never end for Steven Strasburg. If the number's 160, 170, who knows what it is. But unless something changes, Strasburg will be shut down at some point in early September, it looks like.
It's a fascinating subject to talk about. We talk about it here, then we leave the ballpark and we go over to the hotel and we talk about it there. I mean, it's just fun to talk about.
You know, some people think they're doing exactly the right thing. Some people say, hey, what are you doing? You're out of your minds. This team has a chance to contend. Other people say, well, if you knew you were going to do this, why not start them later in the season so you could have them from May to October instead of April to September?
I understand what they're doing, and I commend them for taking care of their young pitcher, but I still think it's a huge dilemma for their organization.
Yep.
It is not easy to win. You don't get a lot of opportunities. I was thinking the other day, what if in 3 years Steven Strasburg's having a Cy Young type year and there's another young phenom on the staff and they want to shut him down? Now he doesn't get a chance to go after it. It's a tough call.
Yep. And again, he's generally been a 6-inning pitcher this season. So he's at 127 1/3. So if he got, say, 6 more starts of 6 innings, that would take him up to 163. They're into September.
Well, and that helps them there.
Right.
At least they can expand the roster.
Right. John Lanning. I mean, they got a pretty good guy in that number 6 spot, if you will. But again, unless there's a drastic change of heart, most importantly, even if they get to October, he won't be pitching in October. And the Nationals told us this when we did one of their games earlier this year. Mike Rizzo, they do not believe that shutting a guy down for a month or whatever the case may be has the same effect. Once they shut a guy down, they're shutting him down.
And I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I think you can artificially maneuver that number a little bit, and they're not doing that. I think you can hurt a guy just as much that way.
So you guys are telling me if he would have had a nagging hamstring injury that shut him down for 2 months this year, they wouldn't have kicked him back up if he only had 100 innings?
That's a good question.
Come on, give me. I mean, seriously. I mean, I hear this stuff about shutting him down. You can't restart him up. We do that all the time with the DL. We do that all the time.
Yep. How many times have we said,
So
well, this
why
could
can't
be
you-
a blessing in disguise for pitcher
right.
X?
So at
Right,
80
yeah.
innings, he pulled his hamstring and would have been out for a month and a half. They wouldn't have liked
Yeah.
to have him in September and October?
Heart is gone.
I mean,
that's hard to argue that point.
I sit there and I play through the scenarios of one thing, but I go, okay, but what if this? And we see it all the time.
So
we see it all the time. Guys get shut down in the middle of the season and come back.
let's go back to February and put each of you guys in
I
charge
think
of the
it's
situation.
worse to shut them down for a whole off season than 30 days because you have longer time to scar down and to end up really pulverizing something that you put wear and tear on. But to actually shut it down for a little time, you get the rest of the muscles, and the scar tissue doesn't have long time to harden.
So you'd have been fine with them shutting him down, skipping him a couple of times, spreading out the innings.
Yes.
Yeah?
Because the wear and tear on your arm, at least for me personally, was the fact that it was harder to restart my engine in spring training the next year after having Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and now spring training than it would be to shut down for 30 days. That's a nice long rest, and my arm hasn't kind of shrunk up.
What the heck kind of holidays you have?
I don't know. I'm just telling you, I felt like the long off season and needing to have a throwing program to keep your arm limber and to keep it kind of moving so it didn't really scar down. Compared to 30 days, I would have rather just had 30 days.
Now, of course, as the manager, you've got to do what you're told to do by management, even though your primary focus, of course, is winning that game today.
Well, and again, the general manager has to be more of a caretaker of the organization. And as the manager, I think you fight that.
Yep. Weeks hits one sharply off the glove of Descalso into left field.
You know, every manager wants to win every day.
And I think I think part of the equation is him coming back from Tommy John surgery. We're not talking about a guy who has a completely healthy arm that is just young and hasn't experienced this workload. We are talking about somebody coming back from Tommy John, and I think that plays a major part in this equation.
And somebody in whom they have a huge investment as well.
Because he is so good.
Right.
If he was average, we wouldn't even be talking about it. Because he is so exceptional and can carry a team, carry him in September, carry him for the year, carry him through October if they make it there.
Lucroy, the batter. The Nationals, of course, did this last year with Jordan Zimmerman, but they weren't contenders last year. So that's the whole different situation this year, obviously. When the day comes, assuming it does come, it's going the conversation will only intensify. It's fun stuff just for baseball fans to talk about.
It's a lot of fun. It's not going to be fun for 24 other guys on the Nationals.
No. Or him.
Right.
He's not going to go gently into the night when they tell him it's time to shut it down. He's already said that. 2 balls and a strike.
And isn't he represented by Scott Boras? So you know Scott's going to have a voice in it. Be interesting to see who's hiring who. Is the agent hiring the players? The player hiring the agent? Who gets the voice?
Activity in the Cardinal pen. Left-hander Brian Fuentes and right-hander Fernando Salas. Remember that big pitch inning that Loesch had earlier tonight? Threw over 30 pitches in the 4th inning, so he's approaching 100 here in the 6th.
And as we talked to Mike Matheny before the game, he talked about trying to get the starters deep enough into the game where they don't have to go to the bullpen in the 6th.
The 7th inning has been a big problem for them. They've got Mott in the 9th, Boggs in the 8th, but the 7th inning has been a difficult spot where they've coughed up some leads. Weekly hit ground ball to second, and Loesch will get through 6. Still 1-0 for the Cardinals. Here come some of the big guys: Holiday, Beltran, and Freese. David Price and Justin Verlander are among the more than 100 players, including more than 60 current players, to visit the MLB Fan Cave this season. The Fan Cave has also hosted over 24 concerts and celebrity guests. Watch MLB Fan Cave player videos and stay up to date on the latest cave happenings by visiting MLBFanCave.com. Follow at MLB Fan Cave on Twitter and like the MLB Fan Cave on Facebook. Bottom 6, 1-0 Cardinals. And a strike taken by Matt Holliday. Heart of the order for the Cardinals. Big inning for Marco Estrada to keep his team in the game. Holliday, Beltran, Freese. Fastball runs up and in. Holliday struck out in the 1st, doubled in the 3rd, and then was doubled off at 2nd to end the inning. Breaking ball line to center, a base hit.
Okay, we're going to look at Matt Holliday's swing, and we're going to slow it down. Watch his leg kick. He has a big leg kick, and he gets to balance, and then all of a sudden he's hitting against that front leg, and when he gets to contact, you could drive a stake right down from his head to his torso to his leg. Look at that. And here we go. Look at extension. My goodness. And he's so strong to boot.
Beltran the batter now. Yeah, the strong as an ox thing that comes into play a little bit too.
But still, I mean, and again, it's easy to go back and look and talk about it, but to get yourself in that position when the pitcher's trying to fool you and get you out front is a lot easier said than done.
Beltran 0 for 2. Checks the swing. Holliday the lead at first, nobody out. And off the outside corner, ball 3 as we go down to Buster.
You were talking about how strong Matt Holliday is. Well, Randy Wolf, the Brewers pitcher, said during the playoffs last year, facing Matt Holliday is like pitching to Bryant Urlacher.
And he does have a football look about him, doesn't he? Strike taken. He's one of those guys you walk by in the clubhouse and you go, man, that guy's big.
Popeye forearms.
Yeah.
Again, St. Louis with a 1-run lead could put the runner in motion here.
Full count. Now, do you think they'll start him?
I think so. Again, you got a lead. You got your number 3 hole hitter or 4 hole hitter up there. Matt Holliday's got 4 stolen bases. Yeah, I would think so.
He's going. Ground ball back to the mound. To second. They get the out there and back to first for the double play.
Tell you what, that's a heck of a play by Marco Estrada.
It sure is. You could very easily just default to going to first base, but he stayed aggressive and stayed with it and went to second. It's a very nice play by Marco, just stabbing that ball, then regathering himself right there, making a strong throw to second, and continue on with the double play. But it's a nice job there by Cody Ransom. It's short to really know that throws into the runner and take time to get the ball there because it was hit so quickly back to the mound.
So just like that, 2 down, nobody on for David Freese. Ransom again. Not in time. Infield hit for Freese.
How big is it for Estrada to come back from a 3-0 count to Beltran and then get yourself a double play ball, give up this infield hit, but it's really going to be tough for the Cardinals still to score with a man on first and 2 outs. That double play key to this inning.
So the infield hit for Freese, 1 for 3 on the night. Now the batter will be Yadier Molina, 0 for 2. Down and away, ball 1.
And you wonder with St. Louis's bullpen going right now, if Kyle Lohse has had it, even if he comes up to bat or not, he may be done.
And there's Edward Mujica, picked up this week from the Marlins to help solidify that 7th inning. Another tough play off the glove of Ransom. Freese heading for third.
This is nice base running by David Freese. Again, there's 2 outs, and you don't want to make the third out of third, but he ran with his head up. He saw where the ball was, and he just glided into third.
Early in the game, the Cardinals are really kind of squaring up a lot of balls, but have the atom balls, and now they've kind of hit it weakly, found some holes. And See if they can capitalize at 2 outs.
Trying to take advantage after that double play. First and third, 2 down for John Jay, who's walked and scored and also grounded out. And a strike. The Cardinals are 0 for 6 tonight with runners in scoring position. The only run they have, the only run of the game tonight, came when Jay was at first and Descalso tripled him home. Ground ball to short. And the inning is over. 3 hits, no runs for the Cardinals, so it's still 1-0 St. Louis at the end of 6. Mujica off the mound. It looks like he may be coming in. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Blue Moon Brewing Company, brewer of artfully crafted beers, the Degree Adrenaline Series, and the makers of One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of Major League Baseball, specially formulated for men. With Terry Francona, Oral Hershiser, and Buster Olney, I'm Dan Schulman, and this is Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. A pitcher's duel going to the 7th inning. The Cardinals lead 1-0, and we have seen the last of Kyle Loesch. 6 shutout innings, got the pitch count up, so he is out of the game after 6. And recently acquired Edward Mujica, formerly of the Marlins, is on to do the job he was brought to St. Louis to do, and that's help solidify the 7th inning. Strike taken by Cody Ransom. Mujica has also pitched with the Indians and Padres in addition to the Marlins and now the Cardinals, as Ransom lines a base hit into left field to lead off the inning. And now Travis Ishikawa, who was out in the on-deck circle in the pitcher's spot, has been called back. And that's Aoki, who's now on deck. It looks like Niger Morgan's going to come up now. So Ishikawa would have batted, it looks like, had Ransom made an out, but now with a runner on, Niger Morgan's going to come up as a pinch hitter.
And what this does, this gives the Brewers the ability to either bunt, hit and run, or let Niger Morgan swing away. He's 5 for 17 as a pinch hitter. But the corners of the Cardinals are going to have to respect the bunt.
Less likely to hit into a double play if he hits a ground ball and use that hole over there on the right side.
No love lost between Morgan and fans here in St. Louis. He was just voted this week, I don't know if you guys saw it, in the Sports Illustrated poll as the most eccentric player in Major League Baseball. Not many disputing that. And here in St. Louis, his particular brand of brashness, and an issue that went back and forth between him and some of the Cardinals last year, has not been forgotten. He's a little more subdued this year. He's playing a little bit less. He's not hitting quite as much. Let's see how the Brewers play it. Bunting popped it up. Double play.
And there's no other way to get around it. That's just poor execution all the way around. The bunt didn't get down. The base runner has nowhere to go. And because of that, they've kind of wasted a good opportunity for a big inning.
And he's not really sacrificing there. He was almost bunting for a hit. He was trying to make sure he got down to first in a hurry. Dropped the barrel of the bat, popped it up.
So quickly 2 down, and now Aoki takes a strike.
Interesting how some bunters, even when they have the sacrifice on, they like to bunt as a hit. They feel they're a better bunter that way. So it's not always necessary that he came out of his game by trying to bunt for a hit. Some bunters just like to do that rather than square around and be still.
It's a tough night. You don't start the game, you got one shot. One shot to help contribute. And you bunt into a double play. Aoki grounds out, and just like that, the inning is over. One of the biggest plays of the game thus far, the bunt double play. 7th inning stretch in St. Louis, still 1-0 Cardinals. Back in St. Louis, let's take a look at our game track. Brought to you by Ram. It's a 1-0 lead for the Cardinals as we go to the bottom of the 7th. St. Louis trying to sweep the series from Milwaukee. Kyle Loesch, 6 shutout innings. Mojica worked the 7th. Descalso, but the only RBI of the game. And Marco Estrada is out of the game after being lifted for a pinch hit in the top half of the 7th. Right-hander Jim Henderson is into the game, a 29-year-old rookie, a closer at AAA this year and an all-star in the Pacific Coast League. He is making his 6th appearance of the season for the Brewers. He will face Descalso. Then Rafael Furcal has come out in the on-deck circle in the pitcher spot. And then back to the top of the order for Schumacher.
Ball one.
Furcal 0 for his last 13, so got the night off tonight, or at least didn't start, but he'll now be inserted into the game as a pinch hitter. Cardinals will, even with a win, will not pick up any ground on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh beat Cincinnati today to salvage the final game of that series. A 6-2 win for the Pirates. A.J. Burnett pitching well again. Mitchell Boggs is up, getting ready to work the 8th inning for St. Louis.
Boys, A.J. Burnett found a home in Pittsburgh. Everything that he left behind in New York is gone out of his mind right now. That was his 14th win.
Andrew McCutchen hit another home run today. So Pittsburgh salvaging the final game of the series with Cincinnati. Cincinnati will be in Milwaukee for a series tomorrow night. There's a base hit into right field. Daniel Descalso is 3 for 3.
And now, just like the Brewers a half inning ago, the Cardinals have the same situation, except they're up a run, so they can even be more aggressive. Furcal handles the bat. He can bunt, he can hit and run, or they can let him swing away.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's bunting, because as he's come back nursing his back injury, the fielding has not been a problem. It's the torquing and the swinging on a daily basis. So maybe they'll let him swing away because it's only one at bat, but definitely a guy who can really handle the bat and bunt.
Missed 5 games in a row just prior to this series with that back discomfort, something that has plagued him off and on at various points in his career. They're thinking about the bunt. He shows, pulls the bat back, chops it back to the mound. Runner was going, so it'll be as effective as a sacrifice, although it'll go as a ground out for Furcal, runner to second.
That's that play you were talking about, Terry, where you show the bunt, pull it back, little butcher boy. Rafael, one of the better guys in the league in that. Show bunt, draw the infielders in. They must respect the sacrifice. You get a little movement, get the runner started, and you slap at it. Rafael do that even with nobody on, slap it towards the shortstop and third baseman, trying to hit that 6 hole over there to get a base hit.
So he advances the runner. Descalso at second, 1 down, back to the top of the order for Skip Schumacher, 1 for 3. We mentioned this off the top of the show. The Cardinals' record this year is actually a game ahead of where they were after the same number of games last year. Remember, they were 10.5 back in late August to the wild card spot, caught Atlanta. The Cardinals went 22-9 to close the season. Over the same stretch, Atlanta went 10-20 as the Cardinals scraped their way into the playoffs on the last day of the season and went on to win the World Series. And things came together. They made that big trade with Toronto, solidified their bullpen. And you look at them this year, tonight's not an example, but they can really swing the bats. Their bullpen looks like the pieces are falling into place again. And you wonder if they've got another run in them, another run at the postseason this year. They're in a better spot right now than they were a year ago.
The key's that bullpen, Dan. That has really been the thing that has been disappointing for him.
Now we just saw Mujica work the 7th. There's Boggs, who will work the 8th, and all going well for the Cardinals. Mott will work the 9th. There's what Oral was talking about. In the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, the Reds and Pirates, no matter what bullpen numbers you look at, they're among the best in baseball, and the Cardinals have not been. But have they made the necessary changes and gotten enough guys going in the right direction that they can turn that into a strength over the last 2 months?
Their overall pitching last year was 8th in the league, and this year it's 7th in the league overall. But the starters have come down to number 4 compared to number 8 compared to all the starters, and the relievers have gone up. That ERA has skyrocketed for them, almost 0.4 higher than last year. Last year, the end of the year, the relievers really took hold of a lot of their games.
And Schumacher is gone, 2 down. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Watch almost 100 out-of-market games live per week on your favorite devices. Visit MLB.tv for details. 2 down in the bottom of the 7th. Descalso at second. The Cardinals lead 1-0, and the batter will be Alan Craig. 0 for 3 on the night, and as we mentioned last time when he was up in an identical situation, the National League leader in batting average with runners in scoring position. He did not come up with a hit back in the 5th inning in this kind of a spot. Hit a fly ball to center. .95-mile-an-hour fastball runs down and in. It's a ball and a strike.
Saving this run is so important. If Milwaukee can get off the field, keeping it to a 1-run deficit, then all of a sudden the next inning the stolen base becomes part of an inning. Completely different ball game with a 2-run lead.
Up and away. Both teams have had chances. The Cardinals hit into a double play in the bottom of the 6th, then had 2 more base hits after that, but couldn't cash in, and then the bunt double play that the Brewers hit into in the 7th.
I'll tell you, Alan Craig will not get in the box until Henderson is on the mound. He likes to set the rhythm of the at bat. A lot of hitters get in the batter's box and fidget around and wait for the pitcher. He makes the pitcher wait for him. Every pitch this at bat, he's out of that batter's box until the pitcher is ready to throw. If I was pitching against him, once he got in that box, I'd come set, I'd be sitting there for about 20 seconds before I deliver the ball. I'd freeze him. See how he won't get in there? Because he wants to set the rhythm. He don't want to live in that box. So come set, get your signal, and just put him into freeze mode.
To center field. And over the head of Gomez. In to score Descalso. Craig sliding into second. It's 2-0.
Hitters like to time the ball, but they also like to time the pitcher. And if there's a way to break their rhythm, you try and do that. Alan Craig is an outstanding young hitter who really knows how to square up a pitch. And once Henderson makes a mistake and gets it over the plate, he's got his rhythm, he's got his timing, and he gets the ball in the time he wants, and then he times the ball very well, and he just killed this ball. This was the same kind of ball that Holiday hit earlier in the game. It was just a laser.
And that ball was down.
Yeah. He's a good low ball hitter with those hands where he holds them.
67th game, 56th RBI. Here's Holiday 2 for 3. The Cardinals have outscored the Brewers 17-4 in this series, trying to complete a sweep with a win tonight.
Strike one.
Big 4-game series with the Giants starting here tomorrow night. On Wednesday night, that's the ESPN game for you. You'll see the Giants here in St. Louis. Joe Kelly will get the start that night for the Cardinals, and Ryan Vogelsong will be on the mound for the Giants. Good fastball that he gets by Holiday, 1-2. Tomorrow night it's the Yankees and Tigers Monday Night Baseball here on ESPN. And a week from tonight we will be at Citi Field as the Mets host the Atlanta Braves. Upstairs. Justin Verlander scheduled to start in that game tomorrow night for Detroit against the Yankees. Swing and a miss. Holiday is gone and the inning is over. But the Cardinals get a run. They'll take a 2-0 lead to the 8th. Ryan Braun will come up second for the Brewers when we come back. In the 8th inning, Milwaukee looking to get something going against the Cardinals, down 2-0. As we go top 8, changes for St. Louis. Rafael Furcal will stay in the game at shortstop. That'll move Daniel Descalso from short to second. Skip Schumacher comes out of the game. In the double switches, Mitchell Boggs is in to pitch and put Boggs into the leadoff spot of the Cardinal lineup. Boggs has not allowed a run in his last 22 appearances, covering 19 1/3 innings. He is the 8th inning man for the Cardinals. First pitch swinging, Carlos Gomez fouls it back. Gomez will be followed by Ryan Braun and Aramis Ramirez. So the game plan for the Cardinals in the bullpen going forward, it looks like, is Mujica in the 7th, Boggs in the 8th, Mott in the 9th, and Mark Zepchinski as the primary left-hander. They've got 3 of them in the pen.
And the young kid Barrett Browning, he hasn't pitched a lot, but he's been devastating against left-handers.
How many times have we seen in October with those outs in the 6th and 7th? You know, every at bat's a grind. Your starter doesn't go as deep. You know who you've got at the end of the pen, but sometimes it's the Brownings or the Zepchinskis,
and you don't get to the
right.
end.
Down low, 2-2 on Gomez here, leading off the 8th. Cameron Lowe is up in the bullpen for Milwaukee. Broken bat roller to third. One down. Gomez out by a step. A big out for Boggs, especially considering the National League leader in home runs is coming up right now with Ryan Braun as we check out his hot zone. Look at his numbers this year against right-handed hitting, and you can see he's equally dangerous against lefties and righties. .350 or higher where it's red. There's a bunch of red, especially on the inner half. No red away from him. So I guess, Oral, you're making him extend those arms and hit it to the big part of the ballpark?
I think he likes the ball up, and he doesn't mind the ball in. And I think the place if you really could see all the blue outside the strike zone, we only show you in. Low and away out of the strike zone is the place where you can get him out if he'll chase it.
Charged at third by Freese. 2 down.
Flowing down the middle worked out right there. They didn't put velo with movement on that hot zone. Location right down at the bottom of the strike zone. Watch this ball run in on him a little bit. Just hits the top of it.
That's 98 with movement down.
Yeah. There's not a lot of guys hitting that.
So you think if we did a hot zone for 98 with movement, there wouldn't be much red?
Not really.
98. 2 down in the inning, and here's Ramirez. The first year of a 3-year deal with the Brewers, 0 for 3 tonight. 36 doubles on the season. He's driven in 67 runs. So he has picked up some of the slack from the departure of Prince Fielder.
If you look at the Brewers statistically, they're almost identical to last year with the exception of their bullpen.
John Axford was so good last year and has struggled a lot this year. Lost his closer's job for a while. Now he's back in there. And K-Rod, Francisco Rodriguez, has had a tough year as well. And boy, nothing more debilitating for a team than to have a lead and to lose a lead late. Lose games in the 8th and 9th inning, and the Brewers have done it about as much as anybody. Off the outside corner. Bounced in, 2-2.
Ramos Ramirez really developing a great reputation with the Milwaukee staff. Ron Reagan saying, he's a little nicked up here and there, but there's no time that he does not want to be in the lineup. And when a team starts to fall out of contention and your productive players still want to be in there when you're nicked up, you can get a really good reputation.
Full count. Well, he's got 98 and he hasn't wanted to throw it to him since he got to 0-2.
You really want to. That 2-2 pitch was an action pitch, really. But you don't want to have this 3-2 pitch and now get the tying run to the plate. So you got to go right down Broadway right here, even if he hits it 10 miles.
And he hits it up the middle for a base hit. He knew the fastball was coming, and he grounds it right back into center field.
Ramos Ramirez not only going into the lineup when he's nicked up with the team out of contention, he's grinding out at bats. He gets down 0-2, and then he just keeps grinding on it, not spitting on those breaking balls at all. They're really balls right out of the hand, but once he gets the fastball to 3-2 count, he knows the tying run's on deck. He puts a good part of the bat on it, gets himself a base hit.
So the tying run comes to the plate. Corey Hart says, hey, I'm 6'6". That is below my knees. That might be a strike on a shorter guy, but not on a guy my height. But Mike Everett thought it caught the bottom end of the strike zone. Ramirez at first, 2 down. Down and in.
Corey Hart's got the type of power where even if he's a little bit behind his fastball, he can shoot that ball out to right field.
He's a pretty good low ball hitter, staying down there.
Woo. Fastball runs in on him for ball 2. Milwaukee, as the guys have mentioned, they've got some productive hitters this year. Corey Hart is right up there among the leaders in the National League in extra base hits with 50, tied with his teammate Ryan Braun, one back of another one of his teammates, the league leader in Aramis Ramirez. Slider over the outside corner, 2-2. Hart thinks he should be at first base already on a 4-pitch walk.
I think Boggs, if he goes with a fastball, I'd like to see him go up the ladder on Corey Hart. Corey Hart's a really good low ball hitter. One of the ways you can tell is that practice swing he takes down low by his knees. And reaching that breaking ball right there, takes the top hand off and extends the swing and extends this at bat.
I think Corey Hart was right on that breaking ball. He saw it out of the pitcher's hand, and he saw it as a ball, and it never caught the plate, and that's why he was frustrated.
Okay.
Knocked down at first, and the inning is over. Good job by Boggs. To the bottom of the 8th, still 2-0 Cardinals. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Back in downtown St. Louis, Missouri, a 2-0 lead for the Cardinals over the Brewers. St. Louis trying to sweep the series and to keep pace with the Pittsburgh Pirates, who won today, beating Cincinnati 6-2. Right-hander Cameron Lowe is into the game for the Brewers. Swing and a miss by Carlos Beltran to begin the inning. Lowe, the third pitcher of the night for Milwaukee. Marco Estrada went 6 innings, gave up a run, and once again Estrada will pitch well in a game but will not get a win. An inning and a run for Jim Henderson and Cameron Lowe, making his 48th appearance of the season. Facing Beltran, Freese, and Molina.
This is a time of year where you start seeing the contenders win games like this, where you think it's human nature, where they're paying attention to detail just a little bit sharper than the teams that are starting to fall out of contention.
the bag. A fair ball down the line. Beltran with a double.
This is where you, as a Milwaukee Brewer, you start to feel a little snake bit too at this time of year. You have Nigel Morgan up with a man on first and a tying run. He's going to bunt. He bunts into the double play. Now you give up another run, and now you get a ball that hits the bag on the road for a possible sweep. Beltran smiling, but the Brewers are shaking their heads.
And don't be surprised if David Freese tries to maneuver the ball over to the right side to move Beltran to third.
Closer for the Cardinals, Jason Mott is up getting loose in the Cardinal pen. And who came on and took to the role late last season and into the postseason. It was a good success for St. Louis as Lowe falls behind 2-0.
Last year he did everything that a closer does, but never got the title.
He got it during the postgame celebration after Game 7.
That was it.
Tony Lewis said, now you're my closer. Not a lot of mystery with Jason Mott. Here it comes. Try to hit it. Up the middle, a base hit. Beltran around third. He will score 3-0.
And he doesn't scald this ball, but at worst, he wanted that runner to be at third with an out, and he got a base hit out of it and an RBI. He's making sure he stays inside it so he doesn't roll over. And at worst here, he moves the runner, and at best like this, he gets an RBI.
So the Cardinals chipping away against the Brewer bullpen with a run in the 7th and a run in the 8th.
And would not be surprised to see St. Louis get real aggressive here with Molina and put a runner in motion and try to add on.
Molina 1 for 3, had a base hit his last time up. He's got 5 hits in the series against Milwaukee. Ball 1. One thing Molina has not done is have success against Cameron Lowe. 0 for 10 in his career as he looks down to Jose Oquendo to see what the sign is.
You know, as Yadier Molina has grown as a offensive player, it's interesting to listen to Mike Matheny talk about how his intelligence as a catcher has started to really help him as a hitter, where he applies what the pitcher is trying to do with him, and he puts himself back behind the plate and anticipates what pitches are coming. He's a pretty good ambush hitter too in those fastball counts, isn't he, Tito? When he gets you to where he thinks one's coming, he can start his swing early and cheat on you.
And you can tell he's guessing a little bit with Lowe.
That last one right there, yep.
To center field and deep. Off the glove of Gomez. It'll drop at the base of the fence. Freeze into third, Molina into second.
I don't know if it's a fastball and a fastball count at 1-1, but he looked bad on the breaking ball, and he catches up to that fastball. Gomez takes a nice leap here and just puts it in the heel of the glove. Called a hit. That's a ball that if you ask Carlos Gomez, should you have had it, he's going to say yes for sure. But it's also a play that the official scorer will sometimes call a hit.
And now this puts the Brewers in a really difficult position. They can't allow another run to score. They have first base open. You could walk John Jay. It looks to me like they're going to elect to pitch to Jay and play the infielders a couple steps back of all the way in. They're going to try to get the middle of the infield to a point where the runner at third won't go on contact.
A run in, 2 in scoring position, nobody out, infield in, and the Cardinals trying to break it open here in the 8th. On the count on Jay, who's 0 for 2 with a walk.
And if I'm St. Louis right here, I let the runner David Freese at third go on contact. If there happens to be a play at the plate, you have Yachty or Molina going to third on contact anyway, so you still have your runner at third with less than 2 outs.
Got a hot hitter on deck as well in Daniel Descalso, who's 3 for 3 tonight. And then remember, the pitcher not behind him, for calls behind him in the 9 spot right now. Knocked down at second. The runners don't go, and the out is recorded at first.
And that's kind of that play we're just talking about. If they elect to go on contact, they score that run. And it's easy after, but I don't think they had anything to lose there.
So now let's see how they played it with Descalso up, and for call on deck now with a 1 out of the inning as Weeks knocked it down, stuck with it, made the play. Freese at third, Molina at second. Now Hart's backed up just a little bit at first base. The rest of the infielders remain in, and they're going to pitch to Descalso.
And David Freese is getting the lead at third like he's going on contact.
More likely to try with 1 out than nobody out?
I think I just don't necessarily agree with that. I think when you have a lead and you have a chance to pad your lead, you can exchange an out for a run.
Another play. He is coming home. Yeah. And they will get the out at the plate. So as it turns out for the Cardinals, Freese stayed when he, in hindsight, should have gone, and he went when, in hindsight, obviously, he'd have been better off staying. 2 down, first and third.
And again, this is what we're talking about. I mean, he was taking a very aggressive lead. He was going to go. And Ricky Weeks, has a good clock, didn't rush it, just made a nice firm throw. I would have liked to have seen him done this on the first one, and where if this happens, if Ricky Weeks makes that play, they have the runner at third with 1 out instead of 2 outs.
And the other thing with no out that David Freese can do is try and get in a rundown, and if Milwaukee doesn't execute the rundown properly, the batter runner can get all the way to second. You have the same situation.
So 2 down now, and the batter is for call.
That's what makes this game so interesting.
Yep.
Because everybody feels differently about everything, and there is no right and wrong way.
I beg to differ.
Some things are just wrong.
Yeah, I think some things are right and some things are wrong. Cambeau's got a lot of movement on that fastball. If he could command that thing in the strike zone, his statistics would be a lot better. That ball had some serious depth. Late and sharp.
You don't think the wave distracted him, do you?
Maybe just weren't on the same page for the pitch there. He's done a nice job eliminating the damage in this inning. I think a ground ball that hits a bag sets up the inning.
Ball and 2 strikes on for call.
Catches a bad break on the first batter with Beltran hitting the bag on a ground ball. Maybe that starts the inning off with an out. And then he's backed up against the wall after another base hit. And a couple ground balls, and he's got a chance of getting out of it. Only 1 run.
And they got the runner hung up. Throw to the plate. And the tag is applied on Molina to end the inning. So the Cardinals get 1, but could not get any more than that, and will take a 3-0 lead to the 9th inning, which means it's time for the Cardinal closer, Jason Amott, the hard-throwing right-hander, making his way into the ball game to try to lock it up and finish off the sweep for the St. Louis Cardinals. Night Baseball is presented by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Mas. And in part by Bayer Advanced Aspirin. Join Justin Verlander and take the Fast Relief Challenge. Go to fastreliefchallenge.com for more details. Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of Major League Baseball. Top 9 at the home of the Cardinals, Busch Stadium. 3-0. The Cardinals lead the Brewers. Closer Jason Mott is in looking for a save. Ricky Weeks will lead it off. And a fastball there at 97 for strike 1. Mott with 23 saves on the season and better than a strikeout per inning.
And an opponent's BA of 193. Throw some flames.
Just outside.
When you have a right-handed pitcher that holds left-handers to a 148 batting average, that's amazing. I mean, what a weapon.
Got the experience of closing and as big a game as you can last year, doing it all through October a year ago as that fastball runs inside.
Didn't you have Jonathan Papelbon for a lot of years? Didn't he do that kind of thing against lefties?
Sure did, because of the split.
Yeah.
Cardinals commemorating the 30th anniversary of their World Series win over the Brewers back in '82. Wearing the baby blues here tonight, trying to complete a sweep. It would be just their 4th sweep of the season, and it would move the Cardinals 10 games over 500.
Dan, I know I'm showing my age, but I love these baby blue unis.
They're a lot more good throwbacks than bad throwbacks. I mean, all the retro stuff works pretty nicely, don't you think?
I think they're cool.
You know you're really getting old when you want to get a baby blue like Blazer. So you're not there yet.
You're not talking about yourself, are you?
Not yet.
St. Louis trying to keep climbing up in the National League playoff race. At the moment, they are 3 back of the Pirates for the second wild card spot. And they are tied with the Dodgers, so it's a very competitive race. 2 wild card spots. The Reds are much further ahead, obviously, of St. Louis in the National League Central, so at the moment the wild card would appear to be more realistic. Cardinals with 6 games left with the Reds, 6 games left with the Pirates. Down low, ball 4. The Little League World Series makes a return to ESPN2 with the Southwest Regional semifinals. Games are Tuesday at 5 Eastern and 8 Eastern. The Little League World Series returns to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, beginning on August the 16th, with 8 teams from the U.S. and 8 teams from around the world. Oral and Terry will both be a part of our coverage on the ESPN family of networks in and around their Sunday night responsibilities. Jonathan Lucroy, the batter.
What a great job Steve Keener, president of Little League Baseball, and his whole staff there do in running that tournament. And if anybody has a chance ever to go to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, to see the Little League World Series, it is worth your time. It is an amazing event.
I am as excited to do that as anything I've been in a long, long time.
That's great.
Last year, Dan came with his son. I told him how exciting it was, and they can't wait to come back.
Just to check it out.
It's just absolutely well-run, amazing event, a beautiful piece of property there. And Dr. Creighton Hale, who started the legacy, was president before Steve Keener. Steve Keener has continued it on, and they do an absolutely amazing job.
And the quality of baseball is unbelievable for these kids, for 12-year-old kids.
And the facilities that they get to play up in the Grove, where they stay, the pool, the fields, how they're manicured, the fans, how they're so respectful of the kids, and the fans turn out. It's just amazing how many people. And the prices are really low in the concessions. The hotel prices are really low. It is a great family time and family event.
It's as good as I think I saw 6 games last year in 2 days. Went down for 2 days, saw 6 games, U.S. games, international games. As much fun as you can have. Yeah. Strike 3 called. Lucroy retired 1 down.
And if you collect baseball pins from all over, it is the best pin trading you'll ever see.
3-0 Cardinals here in the 9th inning. 1 on, 1 out. Cody Ransom will face Jason Amott. Yankees and Tigers tomorrow night on ESPN. Justin Verlander scheduled to start for Detroit. And the Giants here in St. Louis for Wednesday night baseball this week. Also, don't forget, SportsCenter comes your way immediately following the conclusion of this game. Michael Phelps will be the Sunday conversation. Usain Bolt, the world's fastest man. You'll see everything you need to know about his win of the 100 meters today. Also, the Tigers winning in dramatic fashion in extra innings earlier today over Cleveland. Oh, 2. 40,274 here at Busch Stadium tonight. They are 2 outs away from enjoying a win for the hometown St. Louis Cardinals.
Did you mention that if they win tonight, it'll be the first time they're 10 games over 500 this year?
You are right. It would be their 4th sweep of the season.
And last year, we were looking at their record. Last year, you think, they need to get on a run. Last year, they won the World Series, and the most games they won in a row was 5. Most games they've won in the row this year is 5.
There's a lot of talent on this team.
But they haven't won as many series this year. Last year, I think they won 36 series and have 2. This year, to this point, they've only won 19. And so they're on pace to only win about 29 series, and last year 36. So it's the bulk of the wins they're looking for as much as they are a big hot streak.
the good news for them is there's another playoff spot available this year. The bad news for them is there are a lot of teams fighting for those playoff spots right now. They're going to have to play well to earn one.
You'd rather be a National League team than an American League team as far as number of teams close to one, though.
And a swing and a miss to get Ransom 2 down. Tonight's Chevrolet player of the game is Daniel Descalso, who's had a big night at the plate, 3 for 4, including an RBI triple back in the second. Pinch hitter Travis Ishikawa with the Brewers down to their final out.
And St. Louis, in my opinion, correctly plays behind the runner at first. Concede the stolen base. They need to stop the inning. That run means nothing.
Swing and a miss, 0-1. Weeks into second, a defensive indifference. Cardinals in a big stretch of home games as well. They're going to make a run. Now may be the time. Trying to complete the sweep of Milwaukee. They're a strike away. If it holds up, Kyle Loesch would get the win to go to 12-2. Mott is looking for save number 24. Mojica and Boggs each pitched a scoreless inning in between them. Caught by the shortstop for Carl, and the Cardinals sweep. The Baby Blues work tonight as they commemorate the 30th anniversary of their World Series championship win over the Brewers, and they sweep the series here tonight, winning tonight by a score of 3-0 and outscoring Milwaukee 18-4. Some good pitching for the Cardinals over this 3-game series. Let's update the standings for you right now in the Central. Pittsburgh beating Cincinnati earlier today. The Cardinals now 7 out. The Cardinals 2.5 back of the Pirates for the second and final wild card spot in the National League. A good weekend if you're a Cardinal fan. They win tonight. They sweep Milwaukee. They win this game by a score of 3-0. Up next on ESPN, Sports Center. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Oral Hershiser, Terry Francona, Buster Olney, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dan Shulman saying thanks for watching and so long from St. Louis.